Left of the box. Again, when I cover things that are happening with Palestinians, with Gaza, all that sort of stuff, I try to do it from a Canadian angle, you know, because it's rarely ever covered on these types of shows. And a little while ago, I covered somebody called Anthony Housefather. Really interesting name there. And he was really, really upset that the Liberals and the NDP put forth a motion just saying, you know what, we should stop selling weapons to Israel. Just saying. So it was a motion that was asking for all these things to allow more humanitarian aid in and all this sort of stuff. And Anthony Housefather had a complete and utter meltdown over it. So he's a liberal. And he was just so upset about it. So a little bit of a reminder of who this guy was. And I love this shot so much. It's just, this is from a CPAC. And so this is like the Canadian version of C-SPAN, I think is what it is in the States, you know, the Canadian government official thing. And this is just, I love this so much because of how ridiculous this is. But just a reminder of who this douche canoe is.
Your role within this party? I mean, this has been going on for a number of months now. There's been tensions in Canada, rising anti-Semitism. You've seen your government struggle to sometimes your role within this party. I mean, this has been going on for a number of months now. There's been tensions in Canada, rising anti-Semitism.
Sorry,
I imagine people want to keep me. I think they'd want to keep anybody, wouldn't they?
Is this the first time that you're actually kind of reflecting on your role within this party? I mean, this has been going on for a number of months now. There's been tensions in Canada, rising anti-Semitism. You've seen your government struggle to sometimes or you know, come up with a position that satisfies everybody, and you've kind of been at the forefront of this. But is this the first time you're actually kind of reflecting on your future here?
I think it's the first time in my parliamentary career that I've had a reflection like this, where I truly felt last night that a line had been crossed. When my party members got up and cheered and gave a standing ovation to Heather McPherson and the NDP, I started reflecting as to whether or not I belonged. And I will let you know further how I feel over the coming days. For the moment, I'm still there. All right?
Whether or not you belong, though.
So yeah, again, he's crying because we're basically saying, yeah, we should stop selling weapons that are participating in a genocide. We should send in humanitarian aid to the people in Gaza. And this is what he's crying about. Again, this is a liberal. Like, this guy is a liberal. And then they were worried that he might cross the floor and do all this sort of stuff. But in my videos, I'm like, no, he's safe in the Liberal Party. There's still tons of Zionists there. And it's not just me saying he's a Zionist, because I know some people, it's like, well, that could be verbose or something like that. You don't know him. You don't know his mind. You don't know if he is, only, yeah, we kind of do.
Mr. Speaker, I am a Canadian, I am a Jew, and I am a Zionist.
It's clear. Yeah. There's nothing left to the imagination here.
I am proud to have been born in this country. I am proud that my family came here in the 19th century and helped build this country. My family members fought in the World War I and World War II. We are part of Canada and lucky to be so. I've represented Canada in swimming internationally. I've represented Canada as a parliamentarian. And there's no place in the world I want to be other than in Canada.
Okay, we're not going to be watching this whole video because it's like 9.5 minutes long, and this isn't the point anyway. I just wanted to remind people who this guy is. So he absolutely is a Zionist. Like, you don't have to beat around the bush or anything. You can directly call this person a Zionist, because that's exactly what he is. So he tweeted this out just on April 22nd. So Anthony Housefather hasn't blocked me yet. Hasn't watched any of my videos, I guess. As Passover begins, I would ask Canadians to reflect on the fact that yesterday, our Prime Minister and leader of the opposition both needed to issue statements about the anti-Semitic demonstrations in our streets. The last 6 months were the worst in 300 years of Canadian Jewish history. Okay, so Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre coming out and saying, "Ooh, no, the protests and stuff." We're having pro-Palestinian, anti-genocide protests up here in Canada, just like you guys are down in the States, and we have the same politicians and police enforcement, law enforcement and stuff, cracking down on them far more than they ever would. I have other videos on it, especially one where they were accusing the protesters of targeting Mount Sinai Hospital and going in and harassing Jewish patients and doctors, which they weren't. Lots and lots of stuff on this. So am I surprised about that? No, but this here. Oh, such a poor little puppy he is. The last 6 months were the worst in 300 years of Canadian Jewish history. Okay, just the first thing about this. Canadian Jewish history. So, are you just this is a little awkward, but was there a Jewish Canada before Canada? For those of you who don't know, Canada is still quite a young country. July 1st, 1867 is when the British North American Act was signed, making Canada kind of what you see today. It wasn't fully Canada yet, but some of the provinces got together and said, okay, let's make a country. If I'm doing my math, which I'm not good at, let's just bring out my cell phone here and actually do some math. So we do this, and so then I go, okay, so we're in 2024, we're in 2024, and if I do minus 1867, which is when Canada became a country, that equals 157. So was there a Jewish Canada before that? And worse than 300 years. 300 years of Canadian Jewish history. Aha. A little off there. A little off there. But that's not it. That's not all. That's not all. Because, yes, anti-Semitism has been on the rise, and that is horrible. Actual legit anti-Semitism is horrible and should never happen. However, a lot of the anti-Semitism numbers that you're seeing these days are also including people like "Stop the Genocide," people saying that, or "From the River to the Sea," and that all that sort of stuff is actually getting grouped into those numbers, which is doing a disservice for the people who are actually suffering from anti-Semitic attacks. Like it distracts from that, and that is wrong. So anti-Semitism, huge problem, shouldn't happen. However, to say that it's in the last 6 months were the worst in the 157 years of Canadian Jewish history, about that. On June 7th, 1939, 907 Jewish refugees aboard the St. Louis were denied entry to Canada. The ship returned its passengers to safe harbor in 4 European countries. Sadly, 254 of its passengers later perished in the Holocaust. Yeah, so in the States, you probably heard about this boat trying to dock there, which never happened. And they also tried to dock in Canada, which they were denied, with a whole bunch of Jewish refugees trying to escape the Second World War. You see, Canada wasn't exactly fond of Jewish refugees way back then. It's funny how whenever there's refugees being persecuted, this country is very, suspect about them, kind of like right now. The fact that no refugees from Gaza have actually made it over to Canada, even though 1,000 were granted, 1,000 emergency visas, only 1,000 were granted to the over 2 million people, and they had to, the criteria, anyway, I've covered it before. So during the Second World War, anti-Semitism, huge problem here in Canada. Just huge problem. But then we also have this tweet from Botherboy. He has a YouTube channel. Go check it out. He does a lot of great work. Additionally, Manitoba at the time was wildly anti-Semitic, barring Jewish people from the beaches and vacation spots, and played host to a pro-Nazi rally in the 1930s. There were also plenty of "No Jews Allowed" signs found across Ontario and Quebec. House father is ignorant. Yeah, those are things. Those are this country has been a lot worse when it comes to this than in the past 6 months. Just saying. Of the 300-year history of Jewish Canada. Canada's 157 years old. I don't anyway. So it just goes to show Anthony Housefather is an absolute joke of a person. Absolute joke of a member of parliament, and he is a very proud Zionist, which is just weird considering how fond my parliament seems to be of Nazis. Okay, so maybe it's not that weird.